Okay, here I am finally recording my second video after making a ton of excuses and spending a lot of time not recording the second video because I'm tired, or I haven't been to the gym yet, or I didn't eat very healthy today, or any number of excuses that you're probably also making for you if you're not a content creator or a YouTuber or a TikToker, a Twitch streamer, an Instagram person. I'm making a lot of excuses. No more excuses. So here's a video talking about ideas. Some real early channel meat in the meat grinder, mashed potatoes and no gravy type of content. But hopefully this is going to be the kind of stuff that's real funny to look back on in a year or two. And also, for all the people out there who are starting their own channel, you get to see how ridiculous this whole thing is and how hard it is at the beginning and how much of a grind it is and how much of it really is you just have to sit here and start doing it at some point and embarrass yourself, do a bad job, practice, and get better. So this is no prompter. This is a totally different camera. I'm still trying to budget so that I can get my own camera. I'm borrowing this one from my girlfriend Tia. Thank you, Tia, so much. Okay, here we go. I got Dream blunt rotations. I've been watching a lot of Lemonade Stand and Atrioc, and I've been a fan of that content that they've been making over there because it's just so silly and digestible, but they're actually talking about some pretty important topics over there, like finance and investing and stocks. And I think that I could do something, I could learn from what they're doing that's working and try to make my own content, like using some of those beats, some of those storytelling techniques that I think is really hitting with their right audience. Because let's face it, I'm not Gen Z, neither are they over there. So I'll steal whatever I can, whatever works. But I think, yeah, talking about things in silly formats is going to work. So Dream blunt rotations could be a funny series. Shitty speed runs. I'm too old to be good at video games. I think the best game that I've ever played is Bop It Extreme. I've beaten Bop It Extreme, but that's not a video game. But I could speedrun it. That could be content. This video doesn't end until I beat Bop It Extreme. Could do that. Going fully ambitious in the other direction, I could do mind mapping on how to save the world. I feel like that's peak ego, but I also know that that is kind of the content that interests me more. We live in some pretty jarringly stressful times for myself and for a lot of people. And these algorithms are so good at delivering content that really just makes everything feel heightened. Sometimes it's warping reality. Sometimes it's just delivering the bad news about reality. So I think that if we had some more forward thinking, some more optimistic content, not just fascism is going to kill us all, I think that could do me some good to make it and enjoy making it. And also viewers out there. And yes, I just bumped the microphone with my hand. I'll replace it. I'll get better. I think it would be cool to share a broader channel roadmap as I get a better sense of where things are going. And yes, I wrote all these things down. This is proof. because I've worked in tech adjacent roles, tech adjacent creative roles, and product roadmaps are something that happens in the tech world. You share it out with your customers, in this case, audience members, viewers, fans. So I could see that type of transparency being good. I know that's something that I really liked about early Moist Critical, early Jimmy Beast content, or even just a lot of successful Twitch streamers, iShowSpeed. They tell you what they want to do and then they go and do it. And you get to see that journey. And I think that's compelling. That's something that you can't really get from scripted narrative, long form YouTube, not YouTube, like Netflix, TV series. They deliver something different. And what YouTube gets you is that direct to creator connection. So why not take advantage of that? All right. Then there's always the slop. There's the tier lists, the S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier. You've seen it. You've seen shorts of it. You've seen Instagram reels, probably. You've seen friggin' just JPEGs. But delivering things in tier lists, right? I feel like I got to do a tier list series for the YouTube meta, if nothing else. What are those tier lists going to be? Well, we could go full political madness and talk about propaganda strategies. We could talk about 2028 political candidates. We could talk about long distance trails, because no one has had a chance to know this about me yet, but I did in my early 20s, back when I was young, a fair amount of long distance backpacking. So while it's been a while, that is something I know about. I do think I can say that I am an expert. I think when you hike and backpack 5,000 miles, you're an expert at that. I mean, I've slept outside for over 200 nights. That's a lot. I could share my day one studio setup, which is, not to spoil it, but mostly a laptop and a decent mirrorless camera and OBS, which is free. And if this looks halfway decent, it's just having a halfway decent camera and a halfway decent light and a halfway decent microphone and a massively overkill computer. But that's just, I feel like that's fairly standard. All of our computers are massively overkill. Is your computer running at 100% CPU and GPU right now? Probably not. I bet it's running at like 10% or mostly on YouTube. I could have a video just talking about my goals for this channel. Not just a roadmap, but like, what do I want to get out of this, right? Like, I know I've already mentioned Moist Critical and Jimmy Beast, but I think people forget, but early on, the charitable aspect of what they were doing was a big part of it. Charlie at Moist Critical, I think he gave away most of that revenue for like years. So I don't know that I can afford to give away or all of the revenue for years. I don't know if I can afford to do that at my current, decrepit senior age, but I can give away a lot, I hope, right? At least give back in some way. Isn't that kind of the point of like being advantaged and living in a first world country? Seems crazy to just like hoard it all. Isn't the world top heavy enough? I could do an excuses tier list. That's probably a good one. I think that's a lock. I think book it, YouTube. I'm going to make a tier list of the excuses I've used over the years to not do YouTube, to not make content. Because boy, am I good at that. There's also, we could blatantly just steal what other people do and do like politician fantasy drafts. Stock fantasy drafts. I saw they did on Lemonade Stand. Let's face it, people steal these ideas all the time on YouTube. So putting your own spin on it is more than half the battle. And I've been watching a lot of Aatrox lately, so if you're watching this channel in the future, I watch other YouTubers. Just who doesn't love a redemption story, Could I have just chosen an example of somebody who's like squeaky clean. I probably could have. So I apologize to all the squeaky clean people out there that I did not choose. In case you can't tell, I'm kind of just shooting from the hip here. This is very off the cuff. Forgive me. I'm not a saint. Forgive me. Movie reviews. I went to film school. That's friggin' breaks my brain to think about. But not only did I go to film school, but I finished a year ahead of most of my class because I had so many AP credits from high school. I haven't put that a ton to use. Maybe the writing element I have, but or storytelling, being persuasive in person. I'm a little camera shy right now. Hopefully that changes. I think it will. But yeah, boy, you put a beer in my hand and a beer in someone else's hand and put me in a room full of other people and I can be persuasive. Not in a I can be sociable. That's what I mean. Sorry. These are the dangers of YouTube. This is another reason why people don't do this. It's scary. You're just guaranteeing failure by doing this. You're guaranteeing saying something wrong. So I have to learn to live with these mistakes and just keep going. I could critique other people's backpacking gear. I think that'd be fun. Like, I don't want to be mean to people, but boy, have I seen some wild setups out on the trails of like, wow, you're carrying like 150 pounds of stuff, including like a gigantic gun that you can't eat. And you're on like a very well-traveled trail. And it's just a confusing choice. But that's just one choice. Like, I used to really drink the Kool-Aid on drinking unfiltered water from springs until I got Giardia. So now I think that choice is baffling. But that kind of stuff. And more in a more fun way. Maybe those will be a little bit more well edited, some higher production values, not just me rambling and pooping on someone's choices, right? Maybe I'll do some preparation, unlike for this one. We had dream blunt rotations. I think nightmare blunt rotations would actually be funnier. I don't smoke anymore, but I did smoke cannabis for many years. So those kind of silly stoner humor things still funny to me, even if I no longer partake. And just finally putting to use some of this hiking experience that I've had. I've hiked 5,000 miles. That feels like a lifetime ago because this was 10 years ago at this point. And I can't imagine doing that today because I have a career now. And I'm old. But real thing that happened. Hiked across America north-south 1.5 times. From Mexico to Canada. Once on the PCT. Once, and then half of the Continental Divide Trail. So the Pacific Crest Trail, which is California, Oregon, Washington. And that was in 2013. And then the Continental Divide Trail, that was New Mexican boot heel, right at the fence, which is just barbed wire, or was when I was there. Up through Colorado. And then I stopped when I got to Wyoming because it was just so flat. No disrespect if you live in Wyoming, but I did not feel inspired to keep hiking across Wyoming. My best day on the Pacific Crest Trail, my worst day on the Pacific Crest Trail could both be great vids. And come to think of it, I could do tier lists on like favorite states, favorite nights, favorite events. I think that's good content. I think that's good, wholesome hiking content that fits the YouTube meta. And then likewise, best CDT day and worst CDT day. Lesser known trails. So those will be a little bit more niche. The CDT, I mean. There's just fewer people that live along the CDT. And it's harder and it kind of sucks. I didn't enjoy it that much. But it's pretty. It's pretty. Anyway, this is me forcing myself to do this video. Thanks. Hope you stick around. Hope you Smash that subscribe button. Like, follow. All right. Now I'm doing the Ludwig. See ya. Bye-bye. Take care now.